viewers, and welcome to today's episode of Auschidys Disability Africa Show. My name is Maureen Kaveke and I'll be your host. With me is my co-host, kama kawaida, Mr. Martin Kilavi, and today we are filming this episode at the Eka Hotel. Eka Hotel is on Mombasa Road, an amazing, wonderful, breathtaking place. Today our guest is Reverend Sophia Musoka. She's one of the best educators that we have in this country. She's a director of a school by the name Almasi International Christian School.
Oh wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Yes.
I am Reverend Sophia Musoka. Yeah, and I am an educator by passion, by calling, by training. I studied education at the Kenyatta University. I studied education leadership at master's level at Pan-Africa Christian University, and I am a continuing student for PhD in education and leadership at Africa International University. And Almasi has been running since 2012, so this is 13th year. We offer an inclusive American Christian education. And in 2018, we opened our door to our first differently abled student.
Yes.
And as we speak right now, we have 25% of our student population as children with special needs, children who learn differently. A lot of them on the autism spectrum. We have some with ADHD, dyslexia. We have some that have suffered traumatic brain injury. Basically, the students who are not able to learn according to the laid down curriculum. And so it means that we need to make what we call an individualized education plan. We have to work with the health department because a lot of them need to access various therapies, occupational therapy, speech therapy, in some cases physiotherapy, and in many cases also psychotherapy. So we work together. When you're talking special needs, it's a multi-sector approach. There's the education part, and there's also now the physiological help, finding out what needs to be supported as far as their physiology is concerned, so that they can engage with education. So inclusivity does not just mean that you have a unit, a special needs unit. It means that the community, the school community, must be prepared to receive these students. It also means that you're intentional to make accommodations for them in very many ways. So it's a lot of intentionality. A lot of intentionality in it. It's expensive, I must say, from the perspective of running a special education unit. It is very, very expensive. So from the perspective of running a school, there's that which the State Department for Education says. It says, oh, you need one teacher for every 5 students.
Yes.
And to tell you the truth, depending on the functionality of a student, that 1:5 ratio might be like 1:80 for a general education class. Because if you have let's say 5 students,
Yes.
2 of them are not potty trained,
Yes.
others have behavioral training to be done for them. It's not practical. And in my experience has been that ratio in many cases needs to be 1:2, 1 to 1.5. Not that people can be 1.5, but in terms of how many adults are here. Because there are many, many challenges. Many parents don't get early intervention. So by the time a child is coming to us, we have missed a window when physiologically they were developing.
Yes.
And when we could have put in a lot of training.
Yes.
We have missed that window. And so there's all of these things that go on. So by the time that child comes to school, you're not only needing to serve the child, you're also needing to take care of that parent.
And that's what I've wanted to ask.
Yes.
You, Reverend.
Yes.
You are in that industry, the education industry.
Yeah.
And you have met parents.
Yes.
And you've just explained what comes out of those parents.
Yeah.
How do you handle such a parent who is still in that denial space?
Okay.
Who has not accepted the child?
So,
why I'm asking this is because I still feel that Maureen, we may need to focus on the parent first before the child, if you want the child to gain any mileage. Because until the parent accepts the child, so in your interactions with them, how do you handle such a parent? Because I'm sure there are parents who are asking, and there may be possibly they could be there.
Unfortunately, in many cases, parents of special needs children are exploited. Because as a parent, you're desperate for your child to find help. So whatever you're told to do, you will do.
So are you saying, could you be telling us that probably the parents are not well prepared?
Parents are not well prepared. You see, also there is also the trauma of getting appropriate caregivers.
How do we take care of that parent?
That's really a big work of advocacy, where parents are educated on early signs, early detection signs, and then early intervention. Because my experience is that when a child comes to school early, like between 3-4 years, there are children who came to school and were non-verbal, non-speaking.
Yes.
They make verbal sounds, but they don't articulate speech.
Yes.
And within a short time, we moved them. We actually integrated them into the general education class because they now acquired language. But you see, it was because there was early intervention. When the children are older, you have to work harder.
Yes.
You have to work harder to do that. So there's a whole spectrum of parent education. I think it would be good to have prenatal care, prenatal counseling as part of the support from cradle to career, and then to encourage parents to come out, because there are parents who hide their children. I've spoken to parents of like a 10, 11-year-old, who even changed details themselves on a child's birth certificate, because they're saying, okay, our child is 7, but he behaves like a 3-year-old. So they go and change the birth certificate. And you see, what I told them is that that's very misleading, because developmentally, there are certain milestones we associate with age.
Yes.
So if you tell me this is a 5-year-old as opposed to an 8-year-old, there is intervention that this child will miss. If it's a 8-year-old who is needing, speech therapy, for example, I will be in a hurry I will be more intentional to come up with an intense program for the 8-year-old, because we are 8 years in.
Yes.
If you're telling me the child is a 5-year-old, this child is 5. So there are things that are not as urgent for him as for an 8-year-old. So, but you see, also reducing the child's details, changing the child's details, is also another way of going into denial.
That's pure denial.
But you see, the parent is coming from a place of thinking, this is how I help my child. They don't know that they're actually placing obstacles on that child's intervention journey. Maybe it should also be part of premarital counseling.
I've met parents who, of course, are in denial, I think, and I feel they're still in denial. And they really hit their children. How do you respond to that?
Well, There is a place for discipline. I will not go into the specifics of caning. It's discipline. These children need to be disciplined. These children need to be taught responsibility. We raise children so that they can leave us and go and establish their own independent lives.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a goal.
That's the goal.
Yes.
You don't raise your child to live with you forever.
No.
And if they do, there's gonna be like big problems.
Yes.
So I tell parents, there will be parents who are not willing to invest in intervention for this child. But I tell them, even if you have other children, this is a child, you need to understand this is a child who is likely not to leave home because they can't support themselves or they can't live without support. And I tell parents, your child is 10 years right now. Let's fast forward 10 years from now, you will have a 20-year-old who has not learned to pick up after himself, who cannot fix a meal, who now will be an adult. So they won't, and they know that they're an adult. Yes. So the management of this child will be very different. And then 10 years from now, if you're a parent, tell me, if you're 41, you will be 51. You'll be very near retirement, yes, going by normal. So your strength to parent will have drastically reduced. Your resources to provide these children, for this child, will not be increasing. Yet the needs of this child are increasing. And there is no time that you're anticipating that you'll be relieved of this responsibility. So I tell them, this is a child to invest in. This is a child that you must take to school, that you must do for therapy. This is a child that you must discipline, because if you don't, this is a child that can harass you in your own home because they were not contained. They were not taught to respect authority. Yes. They were not taught to follow rules. And let me tell you, children who are impaired, intellectually impaired, they are aware of themselves. Their language development device might be not working as it was, but they perceive. They need to be instructed. They need to be shown things. So you'll have kids who come, and part of IEP is, I need you to learn how to dress yourself. I need you to learn to brush your teeth. I need you to learn to make your bed. I need you to learn to fix yourself a meal. And so you'll come, and so part of our training is you will come and you remove your shoes, and then we want you to put it on yourself. And so you'll give a child socks and they will give it back to you. Why? Because at home they've not been required to do anything for themselves.
You talked about disciplining a child. Briefly tell us, guide us as parents. How would you recommend us to discipline our
Discipline your child the same way you would discipline your other child.
The same way?
Yeah. Define boundaries.
Yes.
Then enforce those boundaries. Keeping your eye on the goal. And my big goal is to train on independence. You have to train in independence. Yeah.
The approaches that schools need to take in order to ensure that they are inclusive. What are some of these policies, or what are some of these approaches that you think we should consider?
One of the things that we are following at our school for special needs education is actually what has been stipulated by the KICD. So they have a curriculum. That is what. So there are provisions, and the first thing is that a school must be conversant with what those provisions are. Number two, a school must understand that like I said, it's a multifaceted approach, multi-sector. There's no way you can offer special needs education curriculum without occupational therapy or speech therapy or physiotherapy. So the schools need to know that we cannot do this alone. We must involve people from the health sector. And also mental health. And then it's also a partnership between the school and the home. And there's some times when we've actually called caregivers and told them, this is the milestone we are trying to reach with this child. Don't feed him, don't dress him, allow him to do it, so that then we are working together. So it's a partnership between the school and the home must be involved. The other thing is that schools need to acquire professionals. You need a professionally trained special education teacher. We also have a developmental pediatrician that we deal with. So when a child comes to us and they've not had a previous assessment, we will send them. Sometimes we may send children to KISE, but we also have independent functional assessors. So it's a multifaceted approach. You can't do it on your own. The other thing that I would say, of course, is to prepare the school community, and not just to do lip service as far as inclusion is concerned. So one of the things we have done is that we have made Kenya Sign Language a compulsory subject for everybody in our school, because we need a way of bridging the barrier, the communication barrier between our general education students and our special education. So as a school, we are all learning sign language so that it becomes an outreach for we normal people, quote unquote, to the other side. So those are some of the things that we have done. And yeah, we are still learning. There's so much. Every day is a new day. There's a lot to learn. Yeah.
What about that parent who is in that level that they do not have a job? They have other children. They are struggling family. What do we have for them? And they have a child with special needs. Yet they may not be in a position to count the children.
The reality with disability, it is the most under-resourced. It is the most under-resourced in every way. And I don't know who will ever deal with those kinds of parents, because then I would tell them, go to the public schools where it is supposedly free, but I know of public schools where the teachers, the ministry is not able to honor their own stipulations of one.
Madam Sophie. Madam Sophie. Are the public schools, let's just be real. Are the public schools ready for this learner with disabilities?
If you go to the education office, they'll tell you they are.
In reality, what is your view?
In reality, the disparity is overwhelming. The classroom is there, but the resources are not there. Let alone for special. I worked in the public sector for a while before I stepped out to do what I do now. And even for just general education, the realities of educational inequalities is alarming. We may not want to admit it, but it is a reality.
Do you believe if they get the right support from the
they have a
parents,
chance?
Do you believe they can live a full life?
Yeah, they can. Why not? They can. Actually, let me tell you one of the things that challenges me. When I travel outside the country, as I have the privilege of doing once in a while, I go see somebody on the wheelchair. They are in, like, I traveled recently. I went to the US not so long ago, and I went into one of these big stores, and the greeter was a man on a wheelchair.
Awesome.
Yeah, welcome. Thank you for shopping with us today. He was earning a living.
Yes.
And I looked at it and I said, when will we get here as a country?
Wow.
When will we get here? So it is possible for them. And that's why I'm saying that my ultimate dream is to do cradle to career. It has been done in other countries. maybe what we can say is that we don't value our people, and especially people with disability. We give up on them, and we choose to put our resources elsewhere. Yeah, but everybody has a chance.
We actually take them as a burden.
There's a burden, yeah. Actually, I've had parents who told me, I have prayed for my child to die.
Oh.
Yeah, they do that.
Yeah, I've prayed. I wish my child would die because they are overwhelmed by the burden. Yeah, and there's some who have even confessed that they have contemplated taking out their own kids. Yeah, so there's a lot that needs to happen, even in mental health support. We need to mobilize communities to support, families to support that parent. A parent, parenting, my children are regular by the grace of God, but I still get overwhelmed as a parent. So you can imagine now the parent who has to carry the burden of a child who will require support all their lives. And a lot of the time, they don't have the support of family. There are issues of abandonment, and we are also very superstitious. We think that if we hang around you, we may also get one who is not regular, So there's a lot of advocacy that needs to go on for community support, awareness, and just intentionality. And of course, I imagine that government is overwhelmed. We can't look to them. They do have an obligation because these children are also citizens of our country, and they have right to whatever other citizens do enjoy. But I think unless you're living in England or one of those nations where the per capita is high and they can support, and the specific capitation for these children in schools, we are a long way to go. If the efforts of advocacy bear fruit, then one of the solutions I see is homes where individuals like this are able to access assisted living. Yeah, assisted living, where you dignify them with you recognize that they're human beings that need to be dignified. You recognize their limitations, and you provide support for those limitations while allowing them to still be dignified. That is what can happen.
Our policy makers in this country, in Kenya, in Africa at large, you've heard for yourselves. I think the ball comes back to you, and you need to critically think about this and put measures which will safeguard the future of a child or a youth or an adult with severe disabilities. All the stakeholders involved, create a space, think through it, involve us, we as parents or also interested parties, we come up with a discussion and a way out of this. Some of these children, the reality is they will never be independent. We need to come up with a solution, a tangible solution for the severe cases. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we need to come up with a tangible solution.
True.
Yes,
Yeah.
and also for the less severe cases, rather for cases that are not severe, then I need, as Madam Sophia said, they have a right to education. Let us try as much as we can to give them at least a little bit of education, yeah? Right? Yes, because through education they'll be able to communicate better, they'll be able maybe to earn a living someday, they'll be able to be independent in a way. Remember, we're talking about education in this episode today, and my emphasis is that we try our best. Yeah, we try our best, and I wish more and more schools and institutions will open up their doors to this group of people, because most of the time we tend to think that this is such a burden, this is such a nuisance even to the regular parents and to the regular students. And so I think it's a call even to the schools to be more sensitive to this issue.
The sobering thing is right now, I have regular children, I'm hoping one day I'll be a grandmother. I don't know what kind of grandchild that I will have. So just understanding that it could be you in this situation. And if you are the parent or the individual that is affected, how would you want to be supported? Because the moment we remove ourselves from a situation, then we think it's not our problem to solve. Yeah. But we need to always think, you know, if this was me, if this was my child, if this was my grandchild, how would I want to be supported? Yeah, so I think it just calls for us to be empathetic and compassionate, and to trust that the little that we can do can, if every one of us is doing a little, then we can multiply that impact and change very many lives. Yeah.
Thank you very much for your insight on this topic, education. Thank you for your insight on inclusivity, because actually this problem is about all that, and that's what we are lacking in this country. This is what we are lacking, not only in this country, in many places. Yeah, many people want to be inclusive, and we are here to promote that inclusion. Yeah, in every area of our lives, where we live, where we work, where we go to school, and all that. As we close up, I want to speak to the parents, mostly who are watching this show, and any other person or the audience in general, that we need to keep on fostering for inclusivity in all areas, not only in education sector, but also in our daily lives. We need inclusivity, and it's my duty and it's your duty to do so. And hope to catch up with you again next week. Yes, viewers, thank you very much for always taking time to watch our shows. I know people are busy, it is not easy, but at least we always get that one call or another. Where are these shows? Well, you know, what's coming up? And we are really, really grateful. Please remember to share the episodes to as many people as you can. Remember, we are trying to transform a life with you. We cannot do it on our own, you know, see? It's not a one-man show, No. We want to do this together, and at the end of the day, we'll all be happy. We'll go home smiling. Thank you very much. See you next time for more stories.